Hello crafters. I know it's been a while, but I thought I'd come to you with a card I created. I used one of our latest online exclusive items, and I love the way you can stamp and do things with the item. Here's the card, and then I'll show you the spring corners. So you have several different stamp sets that you can stamp in the corner of your card. And then you have balloons and flowers and all kinds of neat things. It does come with coordinating dies, which I have them included in here. I do not have the flower die because I'll show you why, but one of the dies is missing, the one that actually punches out that flower. So, but you have these corner dies here. There's a circle, a heart, the balloons, it'll cut out the shape of the balloons, the little flowers in there. There's actually 3 hearts, 2 of the same size, a bigger one, and then that starburst. So let's go ahead and get started on this card. So I already have all of my cardstock pre-cut. This is the card base. It is Blackberry Bliss, and it's cut 5.5 by 8.5, fold at 4 1/4. You're gonna need a piece of basic white cut 5 1/4 by 4. That's gonna be on the inside of your card. Going to need a piece of Shy Shamrock cut 5 1/4 by 4. That's going to go on the outside. Another piece of basic white cut 3 7/8 by 5 1/8. And we're going to cut the flower die out of the corner here. And then you're also going to need a piece of, this is measured 1/2 an inch. And then your length, you're only going to need enough to stamp out happy birthday. This comes from, I save them all the time. I'll cut my basic white down and cut them at 5 1/4 by 4 for the inserts, and I'll do a bunch of them at a time, and I always end up with strips. So I save those strips, so that's where this comes from. So I wanted to show you guys, I already ran this through my die cutting machine. This is the Blackberry Bliss cardstock, and it's that flower die. So I wanted to show you guys what I do because there's a lot of pieces to this. So I've cut it. I'm going to flip it so the bottom side is sticking up. I'm going to carefully take that piece of cutting plate off. So now you have your die cut image. So I'm going to come in with a piece of press and seal. We're going to take this, the sticky side, I have a piece. So the sticky side, you're going to lay it on top, and then we're just going to press down, and we're only interested in those flower petals. So you want to make sure you press this right down, get those flower petals stuck to this piece of press and seal. All right, so once you think you have them pressed down tightly, I'm going to flip it over, and we're going to try to pull this up, and hopefully all of them stick, but they didn't. So if this happens, we have a couple of pieces of the flower that did not, these 3 here. So I'm going to come in with a pair of tweezers. You could lay that back down on there and press and try to get them off, but I think this is just going to be easier. I'm just going to poke these out, and then I'm just going to put this on this little piece here. So this is the die that I was talking about. It cuts out the flowers. You're going to want to run this through your piece of basic white, like I said, at the bottom here. You can see I ran that through. You're going to also, we are using for the centers here, we're going to use Lemon Lolly. So you're going to want to run this through again and just collect the centers for the Lemon Lolly. All right, we're going to bring in our Blackberry Bliss for stamping. So let me bring in our front with the flower cutout. So I'm going to stamp out the wishing you an amazing day. So I already have that set up on my block. So you can tap it on your ink pad, but I think it's easier if you bring your ink pad to your stamp. I think it's just a lot less messy by doing it this way. So we're just going to ink that up. You could use a stamp positioning tool if you wanted to, but I'm just going to eyeball it. It is photopolymer, so it's kind of easy to see. So I'm going to make sure that those H's are not going off my paper. Stamp that right down. I'm just going to hold it there for a little bit just to make sure that ink transfers. You don't want to rock it because you can get smear marks on your card. Now you're going to lift it straight up. So there you are. So we're going to bring back in our Blackberry Bliss. I'm going to slide that off to the side. I have the happy birthday that comes in this stamp set right here. We're going to stamp that down on that piece of paper that I told you. The strip there. I don't know where my longer one went, so I have a shorter one, but that will work. I'm going to just stamp this off and the end close to the edge there. I don't like how that's crooked. It's not bad, but I'm going to flip it. That's why I love it. We have two sides of the paper to use. It's a lot harder to make sure you're not stamping crooked when you're filming. So let's hope for the best on this one. Yes, that's much better. So now that is it on our stamping. We're just going to close up our ink pad. So I'm going to take my paper snips and I'm just going to snip off the end there. So you have your happy birthday. And we are going to now assemble our card. So I'm going to take the Shy Shamrock and we're going to glue down our card on top of there. So you have your leaf color already for the flowers. So I'm just going to use, I think, my liquid glue to glue that down. So you're going to want to make sure you get some glue over here in the corners so this bottom part of your card does not lift off the edge. And then you can put some dabs of glue in between these flowers so it will stick down. I'm just going to make sure I run my glue along those flowers. And then we're going to put that right on the front of our simple, not our simple chamois, our Shy Shamrock. So this is going to leave just a little bit of a frame of that Shy Shamrock because we cut it just slightly smaller than the Shy Shamrock. So now we're going to bring in the flower that we cut out, and I'm bringing in my glue bottles. So Stampin' Up! Does sell a fine tip glue pen. I hate it. I absolutely hate it. There are people out there who love using it. I can't get it to work. So I went on Amazon and I found fine tip glue bottle. It's just a little bottle, and I put the liquid glue in here, the Tombow liquid glue in here, and then it's got a tip, a metal tip, and it does have a little plastic to cover it, but I find sometimes that it does get gooped up on the inside. So all you want to do is take a pin and just run that through the bottom and just get that clog out. So you can see there's all the glue there. So if you're having trouble, and I love this because it's very fine tip here. Just going to go in and put some glue in here with using this guy. I'm just going to put it on my flowers. So once you have the glue there, then you're going to take your petals, and it'll be an easy transfer of the petals. They'll fit in those spots nicely. You're just going to want to go ahead and do this process, repeat this process for all 3 of the flowers. So once we have our flower petals on, you're going to want to come in with that lemon lolly, and you're going to want to glue your centers on your flowers. So I'm just going to use my glue here. So then you're just going to want to come in, put those flower tops on. So once we have them glued down, you're going to just come in with the rest of your card stock, and we're going to finish off this card. So I'm going to fold this in half, bring in my bone folder, and then I'm going to glue this right on the top, just like this. Again, I'm just going to use my liquid glue to do that. I always like to make sure whatever glue I'm using to put it close to the edges, because you don't want that card base to lift up. I like the liquid glue because you have a little bit of time to kind of move that and get that just centered. So we're going to bring in that happy birthday, and I'm going to put some Stampin' Up dimensionals on the back of it. We're going to pop that right up on the front. And then I'm going to just pop that up. And I'm going to overlap it on the Shy Shamrock. That looks about good. So to just finish this off, I thought I would do some Wink of Stella. I really don't want to take away from the simplicity of the card, so I didn't want to do any ribbon or embellishments, but you get creative and do what you want to do. So I'm just going to do the flower petals with the Wink of Stella. That's the only thing that's going to get the glitter. And then you're going to want to go ahead and put your piece of basic white on the inside. And again, I'm just going to use my liquid glue because it's handy. You can use whatever glue you have on hand. And that's going to give you that nice place to write, because you are working with a dark card base. I like to put the white or a lighter card stock on the inside of most of my cards. It always gives it that finished look. So that is that to that card. It's pretty simple. The most time consuming is, of course, the paper piercing, but I think it gives a great effect by doing it that way. So let me know in the comments what you think about this card, and let me know if you guys have purchased the spring corners and what you've made with it. I would love to hear your feedback. Thank you, guys.